welcome. We got Malcolm Nance hiding in Canada. We got Lev at Legoland, and I here in New York City. Welcome, and welcome to our Substack family. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. So much to talk about. Could not be happier to have my brothers Malcolm and Lev here. Lev, in fact, you broke a story, and it's an important story. It's the story that deals with J.D. Vance, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Todd Blanche, all meeting. Am I missing somebody there?
Yeah, the most important guy, which is part of the story, is Dan Bongino was not.
So Billy supposed to be meeting at the home of Shady Vance. So let me be very clear. I'm not going to take the lead on this one because I want to get it from the mouth of the guy who broke the story, Lev Parnas.
My brother, thank you. Yeah, no, for those of you that have been reading the Substack letters, the past 72 hours have been interesting. 48 hours ago, we broke the story here on Substack about that J.D. Vance was going to put together this dinner. And at that dinner, the group that was supposed to be there was Susie Wiles. It was supposed to be Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and obviously the man himself, Todd Bland. But the person that was not mentioned was Dan Bongino, because the reason for it is part of the meeting was supposed to discuss the Bongino situation, because Bongino has never jumped.
But let's pretend that people don't know what is the Bongino situation. It almost sounds like a very bad hemorrhoid. Right? Dude, what's going on? Why are you moving like that? I got a Bongino situation.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Donald Trump feels
I
that
am
way right
using
now.
that now.
Yeah, I swear to you, Donald Trump feels that way right now. He's walking around the White House. He's like, I got a Bongino situation.
He's got it. We're going to define Bongino situation as urgent explosive diarrhea.
Oh my God! No, this is something that they're having a problem.
Boy, Unleashed has really devolved into something really very just. We are just childish.
Okay. Tell it good.
So this Bongino situation started out basically, for those of you that know, Dan Bongino has made for the past 5-6 years, or God knows how long, has made a career, his podcast, his life, devoted himself to being the man that breaks this whole Epstein file situation. He's been walking around accusing Democrats, accusing all these people in power, hiding information, talking about that once Trump gets into office, he's going to break it wide open. That was Dan Bongino's whole life, whole podcast. Now they get into office. The first thing they get involved with, just like we all know how this Epstein thing happened, is Pam Bondi, first of all, said, I got the file, they're on my desk. Kash Patel's going looking at them. Alina Habba talks about how they're going to go prosecute people. There's on the list, they're going to get prosecuted. And then all of a sudden, it all gets shut down. That memo leaks July 6th, and here we are all of a sudden coming up. But everybody jumped on board with Donald Trump in his inner circle, saying this is bullshit, like he calls it. This is the Democrats' follow-up. You have Pam Bondi jumping on board now. You have Kash Patel quietly agreeing to it. But there's one person that didn't agree to this and never jumped on board and actually almost left. That was Dan Bongino.
By the way, it's more than just Dan Bongino. It's also Tucker Carlson has been there. So has a handful of very prominent Laura Loomer.
But Dan Bongino is important. I'll tell you why, Michael. Yeah. Because he's an actual deputy. He's the second man in command of the FBI.
Deputy director,
he's seen the information. He knows what's in there. He knows what's being scrubbed. He knows what stories being changed. He knows what people. And I don't know if he's so much against what the scrubbing of Donald Trump part, but there's other people and this whole story is getting, rewritten the way we're talking about Donald Trump.
Let me make a quick note about Dan Bongino. Don't forget, he was a Secret Service agent on Barack Obama's personal detail.
That's right.
For years. Yeah. So he's been in law enforcement for over 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. And so, he was coming in with them chops like, I'm a cop. I'm going to break this wide open. And
Yeah.
what I suspect is disappointment that what he did see had no Obama, no Hillary, no Bill Clinton that they could convict the person on, because he was full on QAnon, right? Hang him from the light post, everything, break it open. And now we get to this point.
So the interesting part is, so we broke the story here on Substack overnight. CNN picked up on it. All the media jumped on it, thank God, which was a great thing, because what happened was, then you saw in the Oval yesterday, when Trump and J.D. Vance were asked about it, all of a sudden he denied it. He said there is no meeting, and they canceled the meeting. So, but the funny part is, right when they canceled it, one of my sources called me literally right as the Oval meeting ended and told me they're meeting right now. Pam Bondi is meeting with Kash Patel right now, and they're trying to make peace, because the biggest part of the meeting is Kash Patel was representing Bongino and basically making peace with Pam Bondi, and on behalf of, Susie Wiles was there on behalf of Donald Trump, because even with Donald Trump, the relationship is soured, and I don't know if Donald Trump's threatened him, begged him, asked him, whatever the reason. But Bongino was planning on leaving at a certain point where Donald Trump made a phone call. They had a long conversation, and Bongino stayed. Now, I don't know on what terms. Ever since then, there hasn't been no communication between Bongino and Trump directly. And Susie Wiles has taken that role. And so just now, actually, Kyle Griffin from MSNBC confirmed, and he's breaking the story, which we broke 8 hours ago, that they have met, that the meeting was canceled.
So let me just say that he's not breaking a story; he's repeating your story.
Yeah,
right. I mean, that's the whole point here.
He's breaking your story.
One of the things I constantly talk about is, between the three of us, there's more firsthand information coming out from here than you'll find any place else, because we're the guys that were involved in the inner workings. It's why I constantly say to people, do not stop for a second smashing the heart. Do not stop taking that square, that share little box next to the heart, and share it with family and friends. Our job is to grow this community.
Yeah.
Your job is just to help us. The more people that hear truth instead of the misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, the better off we're going to be. Because, Levi, you finished breaking that story, because it's a great segue.
Yeah, no, because you got.
Wait,
go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
I got a quick comment I want to make. If you notice, again, Bongino's the only real law enforcement officer involved in this. Everyone else is a lawyer. Kash Patel's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right? He was a congressional staffer.
Right.
And they, I don't know about you, but, lawyers can be somewhat chummy, but I think this particular cabal of lawyers are all in to put the fix on this thing.
Look, I think Bongino actually is furious.
His sense of honor.
I've heard from my own source that Bongino is furious. In fact, I wasn't even sure if he was coming in today. There was a lot of question whether or not he was coming in to come to the office today. It is just that bad, because he doesn't want to keep this quiet. But it's not just him. There's a handful of folks like Joe Rogan, like Tucker Carlson, like these MAGA right. When I mean MAGA, I'm talking about the farthest right-wing conspiracy guys that have been out there for years now, basically turning around and talking about how this is a Democratic cabal. They were actually led down a path. We'll call it the golden path, right? Like Dorothy on the on the yellow brick road. They were literally led on this path in order to bring them to the wizard. And the wizard was supposed to be the Bill Clintons, the Comeys of the world, the Merrick Garlands, all of the Democrats who were involved, like Pizzagate, as you said, in this cabal of pedophilia and sex trafficking of underage females, right, of children. And they have been itching to pounce on the Democrats so hard, and they have literally built this cult of individuals. And guess what? He's clearly not finding out the information that they thought.
don't forget, Donald Trump in QAnon lore, this all came from QAnon. Donald Trump was the white hat who was supposed to ride in, flush out the deep state, and expose all the liberal Democrats and Bill Gates and the liberal billionaires and Hollywood elites who were raping, killing, and consuming the blood of children, and that they were going to send them to Guantanamo for military tribunals and execution. That was basic QAnon lore. And QAnon took over the Republican Party in 2021 after January 6th. Within 6 months, QAnon had exploded. Now, here's your champion, Donald Trump, who is supposed to be doing this. And then you turn around and the one guy who apparently has some sense of honor. I've met Bonino. I've been on around panels with him. And, he's a big-headed galoot. But he apparently has a sense of honor. But it also is, the other factor is, he personally will be part of the conspiracy, and that could destroy him. You know what? The only thing that I think it'll save him is if this thing goes south, he goes on Joe Rogan, he quits the FBI, and then he turns, anti-MAGA evidence against Trump, or at least leave Trump out of it a little bit, and then let Patel and Bondi, and he comes off as the fucking hero of this story. Otherwise, he's a pedophile protector, just like all the rest.
And that was the key. What you just said, he's a pedophile protector. And that's right now what they're all being.
He's
and he does
eating him up.
It's eating him up. And if you notice, really, hasn't made a comment. He hasn't made a post. There's been zero leakage about anything to do with it. And I could tell you that him and Trump have not spoken ever since that. And right now, this is part of this meeting. And that's the part that CNN and MSNBC weren't reporting is yes, part of it was to go over the game plan because Maxwell's about to start talking. Maxwell is about to start going into that story that Todd Blanche and has put together that's going to be conveniently coming out. That James Comer, which is another thing that I've talked about in my Substack, is now jumping into the fray to try to maneuver it. And thank God to Gloria Eldred and other attorneys that are speaking up and saying, wait a second, Congress, if you are asking for these, because Comer put out a subpoena to the DOJ, but if you look at it very closely, it was narrowed down to Biden stuff, to the Democrat stuff, nothing to do with Bill Barr or Trump or any of this. So
no, Barr's on that list.
No, Barr was on the list.
Bill Barr is on the
right. Bill Barr, yes.
As like what I wrote in my Substack this morning, my question that I'm asking is, where is Alec Acosta?
Yes, good. That's a good one.
He should be number one.
Number one.
He should be number one, brought in before the House Oversight Committee if, in fact, they legitimately want to know what the hell is going on here.
Right.
And by the way, don't tell me that the FBI, don't tell me that these folks, even the House Oversight, do not have the name of all of the victims, and there are a lot of them. Now, maybe you reach out and you say, hi, this is the office of James Comer.
They don't even have to, Michael.
No one's been caught.
They don't even have to. They're reaching out. Gloria Eldred is reaching out. Allred. I apologize. Allred. She's reaching out on behalf, even today.
I understand. But I understand. But I'm trying to sort of make a parody Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So thanks for interrupting that one. Hi, this is James Comer's office. And, we want to know whether or not that they, that your client or you want to testify before the Oversight Committee. Now, many of them will say no. And you know what? I respect that. However, many of them have already, like several that Gloria Allred and others are representing, they have made it crystal clear that they absolutely 100% want their voices to be heard. And who in their right mind is so depraved that you're willing to victimize the victims yet again? And that's what I think is really perplexing to Dan Bongino.
Yeah.
I truly believe that
Hope
Bongino
so.
understands that these were children as young as 12, 13, 14 years old, raped by these scumbags, all right? Raped by them, used and thrown away like garbage. And I think that the guy, despite we may not agree on anything, and I mean literally anything, we agree on this, that children must always be protected. And I
Right.
think he's really wrestling with this issue.
I really hope so. I
You
really
know,
hope so.
he's also the kind of he's the guy that during that 5 years, cops were calling him. Street level cops were seeing Dan Bongino, former Secret Service, as the guy, the real cop in the room. And again, he's got to answer to them. And if he becomes part of, I know this is in his head. If he becomes part of the conspiracy, a criminal conspiracy to cover up everything he said he was talking about for 5 years, that's his legacy. He will go down as the dirtiest cop. Look, Kash Patel isn't a fucking cop. He's not law enforcement. He's just the figurehead they put in there that now is part of the criminal conspiracy to protect Trump and to attack other people. There's no way they can just attack Democrats on this,
No.
right?
Yeah.
There's no way. The information, you redact the name, that information, if it's all Democrats unredacted, and it turns out none of them were involved in sex trafficking, like Bill Clinton or whatever, but you're covering for, Dershowitz, and you're covering for other billionaires, and that Trump's Teen Miss USA pageants, it turns out were feeders into Epstein Island. I think Bongino has agreed not to resign, but I think Bongino may be thinking I may become director of the FBI.
Let me just say that I do not believe that Miss Teen USA, Miss USA was a feeder into
Not directly.
this. And I'll tell you the reason why. One thing that, and again, I'm somebody who was on the board, one of 3 people, Trump, Weisselberg, and myself. The reason I say that, one thing that I've noticed from these pageants, it's not just the young lady who is up there on the stage. The whole family is there.
Right.
It's like a family affair. It's like skating, right? It's the parents are always there with their child. What Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell did is they preyed on children who had broken families with no funds. And that's how they brought them in. That's why there are definitely other areas, but I do not believe that the Miss Teen USA or Miss USA pageant was a place that they would be able to bring these young girls in, because the families literally are on top of them 24/7. I mean, it's like tennis too. I have an older sister. My 2 nieces were nationally ranked. One was number 1 in New York. The other was like number 6. My sister was at every single, match. And, on top of that, they call them helicopter moms and helicopter dads, right? That's what these pageants are all about. So I don't believe that. But I'm with you on that, Malcolm. I believe that they had different feeder systems to find these young women. And Ghislaine Maxwell was the chief executive officer of that venture to find and to recruit these young girls.
Do you think Trump promised him, said, hey, listen, MAGA's going to be upset and angry. Let Pam Bondi and these guys manage this. And I understand your anger. You might be director of FBI when this is all over with. And that he's just biting his tongue, but separating himself for the inevitable?
It's a great question. It's not an answer that I think anybody can give with any legitimate certainty. If you are a Trump supporter, of course, you're going to say, no chance. Trump would never do that. He's not in the files. He has nothing to do with this. You'll see down the road, it's all bullshit. If you are a Trump detractor, then you'll turn around and say, of course he's promising him the world. Who knows? Maybe he'll promise him a chateau in the Parisian Alps, right? With with a $50 million, $100 million bank account in crypto, right? That they'll just send him away.
Trump's the cheapskate.
None of us have the answer to that, but I will tell you who has the answer. And it's somebody that was not subpoenaed. And again, it's Alex Acosta. The fact that this man is not subpoenaed, number one, to testify. The man who knows more about this investigation than anyone. Why? Because he lived it. He's the one that made that sweetheart deal. By the way, Lev, this is something you and I can sort of understand more so, thank God, than Malcolm. How about the fact, that Jeffrey Epstein's deal, this sweetheart deal, is every day he got work release, meaning he was able to, at 6 a.m., leave the facility after count, did not have to come back till 10 o'clock for night count, 6 days a week. He was using the prison system like it was a timeshare. All right, coming and going as he saw fit. And this is the guy who was being charged with raping young children. Meanwhile, for real? Seriously? How do you get a sweetheart deal? How is it that all of the people, named and unnamed co-conspirators, are given total immunity from this?
That's the point I want to know. They just broke up
a deal I have ever seen in my entire life. In fact, tomorrow on my Mea Culpa podcast, I have Dave Arenberg coming on. Oh, no, I have Maggie Reed coming on.
By the way,
on
Dave
Monday,
Arenberg,
I have Dave Arenberg
Dave is my
on.
attorney, by the way. Dave is my attorney. You know that, right?
He's the best.
Maggie Reed.
When you're out with it, Dave is incredible. Definitely.
Hey, they just rolled up 200 freaking pedophiles in a child pornography ring in Alabama, all of whom are MAGA. How the hell do you guys explain it to me, because I'm not a lawyer. How do you literally not prosecute any person that was involved in a child rape ring related to Epstein? How?
Well, I don't have the answer, considering I was prosecuted for paying $130,000 to a porn star, not to talk about a guy's mushroom pecker. So when you ask that question, I'm just trying to figure out the answer to this shit.
Listen, he has to be dragged in. And the question is it binding? Is it binding if it allows crimes to occur and criminals to walk?
So unfortunately, the answer to that is yes. There was an IG investigation into the matter. It was determined by Alex Acosta, based upon his own testimony, that this was a strategy within which to ensure a conviction, despite the fact that it is a bullshit conviction where a guy who is a fucking pedophile, who is a sex trafficker of underage females, of children, that he manages to be able to use the prison system, like I said before, like a timeshare, to come and go for a year.
I'm curious to know who the judge was on that case. Because at the end of the day, I don't care what plea deal you make, the judge has to approve the deal. And I'm just curious to see who the judge was on that case also that made that to approve that crazy deal.
Yeah, but it's mind-boggling. You convict one pedophile and you let maybe 500 active pedophiles go? When has that ever been past legal muster?
Never. And let me also say, I truly hope that people like Gloria Allred, as you were saying, Lev, that Gloria Allred and those victims that have it in them, and trust me, Lev and I will tell you this, testifying is a bitch. These victims are going to be victimized again by the Republicans who want to exonerate certain individuals. They will question their truthfulness, their integrity, and so on. They will victimize. But these women are as strong as any as anything. And you know what? They have told their story so many times. They will continue to tell the story again. But none of this means shit. And I'm working on something right now. And in 1 week, right here on Unleashed, I'm going to release it with Lev and Malcolm. I'm telling you, this is what we need to ultimately do, and you'll find out in 1 week from now when I let this thing out of the bag. But as far as I'm concerned, Alex Acosta needs to testify, and the entire file, unredacted, except for the names of the victims, must be released. If Donald Trump wants to get out from underneath this Bonino disorder, all right, the only thing that he's going to be able to do to quell this, and that's within his own party, more than even the Democrats, is to release the files, plain and simple. And I'm calling for it like everybody else.
Yeah, but that would give us J.D. Vance as president. That's a resignation circumstance. No Republican's going to give a pass to this, because the story will be that Donald Trump, sexually assaults or was involved in. Maybe he didn't, but you know what? This guy was neck deep down there with this, and I don't think he would resign. I don't think he's that kind of guy.
I don't mean to ever cut you off because
you're
a lot smarter than I am.
No, I'm just a civilian guessing.
I'm saying to you, and I say to everybody, I think we all reserve our opinions until those files are released. Because you know what? Let me say this: did Donald Trump participate? We don't know.
Who knows?
He claims that he's never even been to the island. He did that about a half a dozen times. I'm probably, by him saying it and knowing him as I do, I wouldn't be shocked if that's actually a truthful statement, which is why he repeats it over and over again so that he could use it. This is not necessarily about only Donald Trump. It is not. The question I think that ends up hurting him down the road is whether or not he knew, and I'm going to say it again, my friends, and stay with me, whether or not he knew that this shit was going on. If he did, that's pretty freaking bad. Is it resignation bad? I don't think so. But is it really fucking bad? Abso-fucking-lutely.
No, I agree with you, Michael. I don't think Donald Trump was at the island. I think that's why he keeps saying it, and that's why I agree with you. Just like me and you both know him, there's a reason why he found that little truth, and he's going to keep repeating it because he knows you can't prove it. So I agree 100%. But with that said, I think Donald Trump definitely knew, because in that era, in that time frame, when this whole shit was going on, there was these type of clubs, good old boy. And I tell you honestly, I mean, I'm gonna believe some of these victims, like Katie Johnson's. They said that they were in these what do you call them, orgies, or however you want to call them, where these rich and powerful clubs where these men were. Epstein set up these private clubs where Donald Trump she met him and stuff like that. Again, we don't know that as fact. We don't have it, but I'm gonna from all the different witnesses, from all the different girls and women and young women that were came out and did speak about it, that were from different worlds, that have no connection to each other, and not all of them mentioned Donald Trump. I agree with you 100%, and that's
thank you, Lev, for saying that, because these young women, over the course of the years telling their story, they are owed the right within which to tell that story. Absolutely. They are owed the right within which to have, the world acknowledge what happened to them. And you know what? Shame on the judge. Shame on Alex Acosta, right, who was the prosecutor at the time, for not taking this thing further and for allowing the rich and powerful to abuse the system, to abuse children.
Yeah. No, absolutely, Nathan. I mean, but just think about it. You're talking about abusing the system. If I may segment into our next segment a little bit, because I think it's extremely also important what we're seeing being played out right now, breaking news as we're here talking about, is that the FBI and Cash Patel has just said that they are going to help the Texas AG and go after, and the FBI is not going to try to arrest these these state reps, Texas state reps that have done an incredible brave part to go out there to stop this redistricting. And not only is the FBI now involved in getting them, but also today broke that now Florida has written a letter to their state rep trying to also redistrict Florida right now while this is happening. Now, this is
Oh,
insane, guys.
Jesus Christ. All right, that's atomic war here in the voting department. But this is one of the few times I can actually say I was way ahead of this story. You guys do that every time you come on here. You break news.
That's because we are. That's because we do.
I know. Well, I got one. 2 days ago, I wrote that when they fled up to Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts, I wrote on Twitter and got excoriated over it that Trump will intervene here and that he will assign the FBI as lead agency and likely DHS, ICE, U.S. Marshals to track down these individuals, arrest them, and bring them back. Now, Lev, did he say, Kash Patel say he was not going to arrest them?
No,
or he was going to?
No.
What does he say?
They asked Kash Patel that they want the FBI to assist law enforcement, we'll call them the Texas Posse, to go and to round up these individuals and to physically bring them back to the House in Texas so that this matter can be adjudicated, the gerrymander bill could be put forth.
From Illinois, Massachusetts,
from whatever state.
Wherever they are.
And that's what I predicted, is that they would snatch them. And now to have FBI, look, if FBI is lead agency on this, they have DHS, ICE, and U.S.
100%.
Marshals
100%.
as surveillance assets, as fixing assets, and the FBI will be the ones who will do the physical snatch.
Well, not only that, this is getting even more serious.
This is crazy.
No, this is getting beyond crazy, because let me add a little something else that is being put into action that is not being talked about really much. That part of this, they're also planning to indict Beto O'Rourke and J.D. Pritzker and maybe others for as part of a conspiracy to bribe these state reps by giving them, housing them in Chicago, by giving them whatever. So they're going after the money, saying that they bribed these state reps not to show up and do their job and go off the jail. So now they're trying to not only go after them, but they're trying to go after people that are somehow paying them or supporting or helping them.
Okay, so let me, as the lawyer in the group here, raised a very important legal point.
Mm-hmm.
The matter that Governor Abbott is referring to, which is the alleged crime of members of the legislature leaving the state, even assuming that it is a crime. There is no crime on the book for leaving the state. In fact, the Constitution, the 10th Amendment, allows you free travel across this country.
Mm-hmm.
But even assuming that they could figure out somehow that this is a crime in Texas, the FBI is federal. This is not a federal crime. The FBI has zero jurisdiction in assisting law enforcement on trying to find these individuals, to take custody and control over them, and to transport them back to the state of Texas. I mean, you're talking about potential crimes by the FBI against the body of each and every one of these legislatures. Unlawful imprisonment, kidnapping, transportation across state lines against somebody's will. There are so many violations here that each and every one of these legislators will be able to bring against the FBI and Kash Patel and everybody else. It is basically to try to scare them into coming back for fear that Trump is now going to have Kash Patel, who stupidly said okay to. When asked the question of whether or not he's planning to go ahead and do it, he said, yes, we are. How about no, you're not? All right. I get it. You want to be loyal to the boss. I understand it. Lev knows what it's all about. Let me be very clear. FBI is not coming for any of them. All right. Zero. It is not a federal issue. It is at best a state issue.
Yeah, but see, this is where we're all fucking up, okay? And why I made that prediction days ago. Because I think Trump wants the spectacle of this. I think he wants the power play of breaking the quorum by using all of his power, right? Even though it may be illegal. Look, I suspect right now that I wouldn't be surprised if he fucking used ICE to do it, because they're fucking illegal right now. I mean, they're out there snatching people without identifying themselves. We don't fucking know. It could be goddamn Blackwater on subcontract. All I know is anyone who's deputized, who's willing to break the law. Granted, FBI agents from the Chicago field office won't want to be doing this, right? They know the law, FBI agents, and they know what their role within the law. He's got to find forces. So what I suspect is going to happen is FBI's lead agency will allow ICE to do surveillance, U.S. Marshals to do surveillance because they're fugitive hunters, right? And they can't use local law enforcement.
Well, they know where they are. They're staying at the hotel in Christmas.
Yeah, well, there's that one, but also in
it.
Massachusetts, they're
They know it.
dispersed. In New York, they're dispersed around,
I
Albany and
know.
New York
I'm just
City.
saying.
Charter thing, but they only need to get, I don't know how many they need to get a quorum. But
They
the
only need all
point is,
50.
I suspect Trump is going to pull a full fucking Los Angeles on this. And you are going to see, you're going to see what QAnon had been wanting, which is those videos of FBI agents in uniform arresting these people on whatever made up fucking grounds, frog marching them, putting them on a federal fighting chains, and flying them to Texas. And I shit you not, all right? If Florida does this bullshit too, these people are stoking the basics of civil war, because no one's going to tolerate this.
Yeah, I also don't think so, Malcolm.
Okay.
I think sometimes we give way too much credit to this administration's nonsense. The reason that Trump was able to deploy the National Guard and the Marines to California, which I found to be abhorrent, is because the issue of immigration is obviously a federal issue. A state legislator who leaves the state is not there. First of all, there is no crime. And if he does that, I'm with you. You're talking about a civil war in this country. This will be the match that ignites the powder keg. No doubt in my mind.
And I'm just gonna touch on both of you this, because I agree with both of you here, because I think what Michael is saying I is 100 in the real world, in a normal world, you're 100% right.
Yeah, in the real world, right?
In the real world. But then when you take what Malcolm is saying, and that's today's world, in Donald Trump's world, anything is possible. So what I think is happening, and this is why I brought the Prisker and why I brought in the O'Rourke, and then I think, Michael, and you're as a lawyer, tell us this, because I think that I'm going to agree a little bit with Malcolm here that he's definitely going to try to do something. They're going to try to bring these guys back there.
It's going to be a spectacle.
They're not going to, because otherwise it's just, they won't get the quorum if they don't show up. I mean, they don't get the redistricting. It becomes a mess, and Florida's doing it. So I definitely believe something can happen. But what I think is going to happen, and tell me if this is a possibility, for them to make this federal by using this as a conspiracy case, using this as a conspiracy to bribe and make it a federal issue with across states with Prisker in Chicago. I mean, even though it's a bullshit case, and I agree with you.
They're making this shit up.
Right, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
Don't say it's bullshit.
No, I'm just saying to you. I'm just saying to you, make it a right.
Don't say that it's bullshit. It is a possibility. It's a theory that they could actually impart upon. Here's the problem. Even assuming that they tried to do that, what did Donald Trump teach everybody? All right. Let me tell you what everybody has learned from Donald Trump. First and foremost, delay, delay, delay. So they'll go ahead and they'll file the action and they will delay it. And after they'll finally have the case heard, regardless of what the outcome is, there will be an appeal. And after that appeal,
wait a
they
second.
will take it.
But wait, Michael, no, let me stop you, and I apologize because I know I'm taking you steps before that. Before there's even appeal a case, I'm talking about right now. They go and issue an indictment. I'm just saying to all
Okay.
of these people and JD Pritzker. Let's just say saying that there's a federal conspiracy. JD Pritzker is out there bribing these reps not to show up to break this whatever the I'm making this shit up obviously because I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but they find the crime, they conspire, they go, they get some judge in Texas, they get some grand jury or whatever to indict or issue an arrest warrant for these people. Now
Okay.
the feds have an absolute right. They could
No,
go pick up.
no,
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 okay.
no. That's not how it would end up working. What would end up happening, assuming that they were able to get an indictment, then you got to be served and you got to be charged. As soon as you do that, what they end up doing is they go ahead and they say, We're going to answer the complaints,
No,
right,
no, no,
against
stop.
them. We
No, no,
plead,
no,
we
Okay,
no,
hold
but
plead
on.
look,
not
but no, no, no,
guilty.
no, 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 wait, stop. I
An
was not, no,
indictment, an
no,
indictment is not a criminal charge.
no,
They
but Michael,
cannot come pick them up and arrest them.
how they pick me up then? How they pick me up and arrest me?
On your
They,
good looks.
no, stop. No, it was an indictment. As soon as they unsealed it, my indictment was sealed. As soon,
Right.
oh, no,
As
but
soon as
listen,
they unsealed it, then
right.
there was a
So
case.
no, so
Okay,
soon,
and
right.
that's where
So
you go to the point
right.
of arrest,
So
right?
right.
That's
So
right.
so let me stop. Let's reframe. That's what I'm saying to you. So if a grand jury, let's say if they get a grand jury in Texas right now or somewhere to go out there and indict under seal, even indict Prisker or whatever these what's it called, and tomorrow unseal it and go arrest them just like they did with
Okay,
me.
but indicting J.B. Pritzker and
The governor
indicting
of Illinois.
and indicting others, it's not going to get
Beto
these
O'Rourke, Beto
51
O'Rourke.
members of the legislature back, which
But
is
they don't
all
need
that
all
they're trying to
51.
do.
No, but they don't need all 51. Like you said, they need several, and they can indict those several as part of the conspiracy. That's the whole key. They're not trying to go after Prisker or Beto O'Rourke. They're using them as the key who's paying and using these
I
reps
understand,
as
but you're going to have to prove that they're paying, that there's some sort. You
after.
can't just make
But
up. You
What do you
can't
mean?
just make up a charge and run with it.
Why?
guys,
Why?
guys,
Try
let me
to-
intervene with a little history here. This has happened once before in American history. All right, with the Intolerable Acts, I believe, of 1773, and they ordered by fiat the dissolution of the Massachusetts legislature and got rid of the governor and brought in their own fucking governor, and thus the American Revolution started. So, I mean, this is crazy talk that we're even having this discussion.
Oh,
It's
Let
wait,
me also
interesting. It's
say
interesting.
what. Let me
Somebody said
also say
what?
one more thing. Let me also say, if in fact that they want to come into another state and they want to pick people up, you do have to get the attorney general of that state to sign off on it. I'm not talking feds. I'm talking state to state, which of course they never will. The whole thing is just crazy right here.
It's
Hey,
crazy, but it's interesting.
can we talk about in the last few minutes here another issue which is really fucked up and
sure,
crazy?
Jesus.
All right. How about the fact that this Trump administration has just ruled that they are reducing the age from 21 to 18 for ICE agents? So
Wow.
you're telling me that
That's
an
crazy.
18-year-old kid right out of high school, they're going to give him a flap jacket, an AR-15, an ICE badge, and they're going to tell him to go into immigrant communities and to go start arresting these unauthorized immigrants here in this country?
I am not
want people
joking.
to understand the danger of that.
Listen, you have to be a graduate in theory of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center down in Glencoe, Georgia. All right. Or have to be deputized as a law enforcement officer with experience to become a federal law enforcement officer. They're throwing that shit out the window. This is them recruiting Patriot Front. This is them recruiting January 6th and kids out of fucking high school. And if they're using this excuse, well, you're 18, you can go in the military. This ain't the military. This is a federal law enforcement officer. You cannot become a cop in the United States with a high school fucking diploma. You at least got to go get an associate's degree in criminal justice, and then you take an 8 to 20, depending on the state, 24-week law enforcement training, and then you go through selection. This is turned it on its head. He's creating a fucking Gestapo force. And he wants kids in there, and they're going to have, they're going to have to go through training. Yeah, sure. But they've got no goddamn controls at 18. ICE is not the U.S. Army. ICE is not the Marines.
These kids are going to treat going into these immigrant communities like they're playing Fortnite.
Yeah,
I mean, this is not a joke.
This ain't a joke.
No, it's not a joke.
No. All of this together is the military is essentially creating a fucking secret police, and now he's recruiting for, and he's only taking white kids. There is no way he's accepting black high school graduates to go into ICE. Don't tell me he is.
Well, Malcolm, don't forget who's in charge. It's Tom
or
Homan.
Latinos.
Tom Homan is in charge. It's not somebody that
that drunk-ass bastard.
Right. Well, just
in my humble opinion.
Just think about it. It's not somebody that was approved by the Senate or Congress or somebody that... It was somebody that was basically handpicked by Donald Trump that has loyalty only to him. And now he's in charge of the most powerful agency in our country. And he has more money, and he could do... There's no oversight. He doesn't report to nobody.
I shit you not.
Oversight?
If there is ever a Democratic president in 2029, one of the platform items had better be, you should fucking ship these people off to The Hague. Right?
Yeah, it should be like a Nuremberg trials.
Yeah, the Nuremberg trial. You know how I think about Judgment at Nuremberg, the movie, right? They were trying the judges and the attorney general of Nazi Germany that authorized all those fucking crimes, as well as the people who executed them, right? Or who perpetrated the criminal activity. Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, all of them, Kash Patel, Bondi. I'm telling you, these people are there's a technical term for it in counterterrorism, state-run terrorist, where you use the state as the vehicle of oppression of your own people in defiance of your law, or you redefine the law or write new laws allowing you to do this oppression. None of this shit's constitutional. They're fucking they went to Pete Hegseth. His goddamn brother leaked a few days ago that they are looking at designating every fucking illegal immigrant in the United States as a terrorist so it could be considered a military operation. I've been doing this for 40 fucking years. The bad people that needed to get caught, got caught. Terrorism is a very strictly defined thing, but they are trying this thing of the United States has been invaded. This is insane. It's like saying the fucking Irish in 1845 invaded America when they came from the potato famine. This is nuts. I can see the pathway of aggression here, and this is going to end up in bloodshed.
You know where it's really bad? Is you take somebody like, for example, like Lev, who's Russian, because Russians love katoshka, right? Which is
Ukrainian, Ukrainian, Michael.
Which is Soviet is really what he is. Like my wife, because all former Soviets, Ukrainians, Russians, they love kartoshka.
Love it.
And so to all of you, that just means that's potatoes. So yeah, I mean, they're going to end up going after everybody, and especially people of color. Imagine an 18-year-old. Now, no disrespect to Gen Z. 18-year-old. I know how I was when I was 18. Could you just imagine being given the authority? You know who just became an ICE agent? I'm not shitting you on this. He literally became an ICE agent, I think, today. The actor Dean Cain, who used to play Superman on television. Could you imagine this shit?
They made him an honorary ICE agent?
No. Actual. No, Andre. And not only him, Michael. There's also January 6ers that were pardoned. They are now a part of
The
being
fucking
official
secret police.
agency. No, you can't make this shit up. But again, because you got to think about it. Where is the oversight? There is no oversight when it comes to Tom Homan and ICE. Who did they report to? They got more money.
Can we turn around and just remind ourselves, how were we when we were 18?
Dude.
Immature, ill-equipped, within which to be given an AR-15 and told to go find undocumented individuals, undocumented immigrants, round them up. Imagine one of them starts running. These fucking kids think they're playing Fortnite.
In the military, I managed hundreds of 18-year-olds. My last division was 109 idiots, right? Who required constant supervision, constant mentoring, and constant correction on their off-duty time. The only thing here that I can tell you that's the salvation of this stupid idea is these dumb fucking kids will bring video cameras with them and show the atrocities.
100%. And I wanted to say something, because when we talk about these 18-year-old kids, and I know some people are saying, well, what about the army? What about this? You have to understand something. These kids, just like Malcolm says, they're easily not brainwashed, but molded. Yeah. So when you're in the army and your command and your sergeant is teaching you how to do the right way, how to go out there and do the right things, that's one thing. When you're coming into an agency like ICE right now, when everybody in there is telling you, put on a mask and go kick ass and go bring him in, and it don't matter. You could do whatever you want. There's no accountability as long as you do it. I mean, that's a different mentality set for an 18-year-old to go in there and say, here's a gun, and now you go.
The Army has 250 years of squashing disobedience, squashing your behaviors that are outside the code of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. My dad joined the Navy in 1944 at 15, and the same fucking rules are there when I joined at 18. All right, and the first thing he taught me was stay within those fucking lines. All right, you get outside the lines, we will crush you like a bug. ICE has no rules.
Lines. Right, it's the opposite. That's the whole thing. It's the opposite.
It's all about the cruelty. It's all about the show.
We're heading to a bad place.
It's all about the show and to instill fear.
And
that's
also
what
to mention,
is about.
and also
someone's going to go to guns and gun down some family or start a gun battle somewhere, some 18-year-old dumbass where there's one supervisory officer for a 20-man snatch team, and they're going to end up killing people at fucking Home Depot, and someone else is going to release the video of it because it was fun, like playing fucking Call of Duty.
What?
You should never brought this up.
And the other thing,
furious.
You're talking about, one of our, somebody wrote here, which is also very important when you're talking about seeing bloodshed. We might see it quicker than you even think about, because right now, Pritzker has these people being protected by state police. So you're going to protect, maybe, I don't even know what you're going to see if you have the feds come in and you got the state police now. I mean, what happens in a situation like that, Malcolm? I mean,
you know what? I'm afraid to say it, but I'm going to tell you one experience that I had in New York. I trained a lot of cops and state troopers in New York State in counterterrorism, lectured them, talked to them. And I remember one guy coming to me, a trooper, saying, what do you think about this January 6th thing? You think it's real? And I'm like, okay, if I descend upon the state capitol in Albany with 4,000 people, are you going to step aside or are you going to do your job? The problem is they will whip out a piece of paper that said, we have now federalized this issue. We are the FBI. We are DHS. We are whatever. They will step aside.
Unbelievable. Well, let me turn around and Lev, since you made the big call on the Shady Vance strategy meeting, let you sign us out to all of our. How many people do we have with us? Since I can't tell.
1,600.
No,
Very
mine
nice.
says a little over 1,800. I think they're
Oh,
close
okay,
to
I'm behind.
2,000. Yeah, yeah. Substack's a little behind, but Michael, thank you. I appreciate it. And I just want to tell everybody out there that if you have not subscribed to either Michael, myself, or Malcolm right now, you may go up there right now, just like Michael always says, hit that little button, hit
Gray
the
box
reshare
with our
button.
names.
Exactly. Subscribing, first of all, is for free. So that's we're going to start off there. Spreading the message is for free. Going out there, bringing four more people to this platform, spreading the word is for free. And that's why the first thing I'm going to ask each and every one of you there, and that's the purpose of us here, is to be able to spread the truth. In this past hour, you've heard between myself, Malcolm, and Michael so much information that the media is not reporting on, and unless they're taking it from us, we're breaking the stories, we're risking our lives, we're risking our freedom to bring you this information. Next week, Michael has some big stuff coming. So I'm telling you right now, each and every one of you could do something. And from being a subscriber to going out there spreading the message. And for those of you that can't, become paid subscribers because that's what keeps us alive. We don't have no billionaires,
Yeah,
Elon
we don't.
Musk, corporations, MSNBCs, or CNNs paying us big paychecks. And to speak truth to power and to be able to do this the way we do it, religiously, to be able to when news breaks, we're there with you. That doesn't matter if Michael's somewhere in the Hamptons, if it doesn't matter if Malcolm is somewhere in Greenland, I'm sitting here in Legoland. We're here to bring it to you because right now we're in the fight of our lives to save our democracy, and that's why. For those of you that contribute, that support, that become paid subscribers, it's because of you we could make it happen and allow not to have any paywalls. Allow this information to free because that's what it's about. We're here to save our democracy. So let's do it. Each and every one of you right now today, make sure, subscribe, become paid subscribers. Go out there and be our megaphone. Spread the message far and wide. Be an extension to our voices. And God bless each and every one of you.
Yep.
Big hearts to you all.
Mhm.
Malcolm, see you later. Lev, go put
Love you
together
guys.
some Legos.
All right.
Are we gonna
Enjoy Legoland. All right. Bye,
See
guys.
you later.
Later,
See you
Malcolm.
next
Bye,
week.
Lev.
Bye.
Bye, guys.